everyone. This is Lisa and Nancy, and today we're having what we call our Wiggy Hour at Rocktown Distillery, which is in Little Rock, Arkansas. And Nancy's enjoying a bourbon. She's sipping on the bourbon. There's no dilution in this. This is like straight up bourbon, enjoying that. And I'm having this amazing gin-infused vodka. Well, gin-infused vodka, but gin-infused. But it's
gin, yeah.
It's gin, but it's infused with all these aromatic ingredients. Botanicals, good word. And this comes from next door, all the ingredients that go into it, right?
Right. They're all farmed here locally at Heifer's Urban Farm. Heifer International is a local charity that helps, third world countries learn how to feed themselves through sustainable practices with animals and that sort of thing, and farming. And they have their own farm to kind of demonstrate how to do those things. And we go every year and harvest botanicals from the farm, and then bring them here to the distillery and make the gin.
Wow, and they're right behind you.
Well, they used to be right behind us before we moved, but they're just over a half a mile from here.
Oh, that's nothing. And everyone, this is Phil, Brendan, and Phil. This is interesting. You started this, in 2010?
That's right, yeah.
And just give us a little idea of what it's like to start a passion like this, going from corporate world to I'm going to do something I really want to do, and how much work is involved.
Just do it.
Because, you think about when people open wineries or breweries or now a distillery, it's big. It's big to do.
There's a lot to do, for sure, yeah. So, we got started in 2010 as the first distillery in Arkansas since Prohibition.
Oh, wow.
So I had a lot of trails that I had to blaze. There was no
first distillery.
Wow.
So Arkansas still has almost 50% of its counties as dry counties. So,
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Come on.
Get a grip.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, we love your state,
but anyway, so there hasn't been the opportunity for many distilleries to open, and so I was the first to make it legal and get the permits. Not that there's not some moonshiners out there somewhere, but I got the permits and made it legal in 2010. And we got our start. I had a passion for whiskey, and the corporate job I had was going away because the company I worked for got bought out.
Oh.
And I said, well, this is going to keep happening. Every job I get, there's another buyout, there's a merger, there's, stock market's up, and we fire people, stock market's down, we fire people,
You're right.
So why not try to control my own destiny and pursue something that I would really like to do, and that was making vodka and whiskey.
I love this because it goes hand in hand. We have what we call our Success Insider for Big Blend Radio and TV Magazine, and I think it's really important what you said about this cycle that happens and control your own destiny. And we did that as business owners, Nancy and I as entrepreneurs. Number one, we don't want anybody to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
See, that's part of it, right? And they dictate that. And I think it's interesting because, when we first got back to this country, we lived in South Africa for a number of years, came back here in the early 90s. And at that point, small business was like 49% of this country. And then I've watched it slowly deteriorate. And then what happened to our backbone? And all these corporations, all of these things, exactly what you're saying, buying each other out. And then you'll look up, like even a website hosting company, you'll find out that they're all owned by the same person at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, right.
So it used to be the big five, now we're way beyond that. I think in a way they've actually pushed us all to be small business again, to really rise up again. What would you think about that?
Yeah, for me, the whole idea is, people that start their own business, either number one, they just don't like working for somebody else, or number two, they've got something they think they can bring to the world. They can really, this is what I could do. And I happen to be both of those kind of. I just really didn't like working for somebody else, and I felt like I could add something to my community to where I live.
First one, that's a great opportunity.
Born and raised in Arkansas. So my mom's from Arkansas, her parents are from Arkansas. So it goes back. So it's like, why uproot and go to New Jersey to work for a telecom company up there? Let's do something here. And I think that's where that consolidation happens and jobs move. If you want to stay, local, you're going to have to find your own path, and that's what I did.
So getting started, what was that like? I mean, you like whiskey now. I did have that one question I wanted to bring up. It's the stupid question of the day. Uh-oh. Is there a difference between bourbon and whiskey?
Okay. Is there a difference between bourbon and whiskey?
Another sip of this wonderful gin.
So, whiskey is the classification of spirits, where bourbon is a type. So bourbon is a type of whiskey. Like the corollary to that would be that Chardonnay is a type of wine. Okay?
Oh, right.
Right? So there are very many types of wine, right? There's Chardonnay, Cabernet, Pinot, blah, 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 right?
That,
There are many types of whiskey. There's bourbon whiskey, there's rye whiskey, there's wheat whiskey, there's corn whiskey, there's Irish whiskey, there's Scotch whiskey, there's single malt whiskey, there's...
I want to try them all.
Yeah, I know.
all these types of whiskey.
Yeah.
So whiskey is a general classification of a type of spirits that would be bourbon, one of those types. And so for a whiskey to be a bourbon whiskey, there's other regulations and rules that qualify it to be a bourbon, just like there's rules as to why can you call a wine a Chardonnay. You know, there's rules. You can't just well, this is my Chardonnay wine.
Like Burgundy is Burgundy, champagne is champagne.
Right.
And it has to go with where
wine
they come
goes
from.
by the type of grape.
Right.
Okay, so would this go by the type of corn?
No. What it goes by is the percentage of corn.
Oh.
Okay, so
I see.
the federal government regulates all spirits. And for a whiskey to be a bourbon whiskey, the mash has to have at least 51% corn to be a bourbon whiskey. It has to be aged in a new charred oak barrel. Has to be made in the United States of America. Not just Kentucky, but...
you're just putting it in that because we're going to Springfield next. I know.
Right.
Yeah, get it in there. Go.
So, but anywhere in the United States, but only in the United States. That's why none of the whiskeys from Canada can be called a bourbon whiskey. So,
And they also spell whiskey different.
well, that's another kind of thing where, there's several American distillers that spell it without the E.
Yeah.
And some that do. But over in the United Kingdom, it's with the E in Ireland, but without the E in Scotland.
Yes.
And then you go to Scotland and you got Scotch too. I mean, the Scotch. Now, Scotch, does that fall in whiskey?
Yeah,
then?
Scotch is a type of whiskey.
Okay.
So it has to be made in Scotland.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay.
Bourbon has to be made in the United States of America. So
so do they have the oak barrel thing going? I mean, I remember when we were...
They have their own set of rules. It has to be aged at least 3 years, but it doesn't have to be a new barrel. It could be a used barrel.
Why does it have to be a new barrel?
Because those are the regulations that the federal government wrote.
Why can't we have
Because
recycling?
that's what generates the characteristic that a customer would come to expect for a whiskey to be a bourbon.
Clean whiskey.
So it's not about clean, but it's about... it's all about the customer perception. One of the first things to actually be regulated to protect consumers was whiskey in the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897.
Dang.
Okay?
Wow.
So before that, there was no consumer protection.
The Consumer Protection Act.
Yeah, well,
was whiskey.
It was the impetus that a few years later, the Pure Food and Drug Act was passed.
Wow.
That actually protected consumers because people were making things that they said were whiskey that had creosote and tobacco.
Poison switch.
Yeah, there was lots of poisons and things that were hurting people that would color it as a whiskey, but it wasn't a whiskey. So President Taft at the time was an attorney, and he saw this as an opportunity to kind of clean up the whiskey business. And the Bottled and Bond Act was passed as a law. So to protect consumers when they're buying a bourbon whiskey.
I love this. When we were in Yerington, Nevada, the town changed its name 3 times, and one of it was Poison, because they had all these little saloons back in the 1800s, and people were getting sick and crazy because they were throwing poison in it.
They weren't really getting whiskey. They were getting coffee-colored water with whatever tobacco thrown in it, and all sorts
kinds of
things.
bad things. Yeah.
This gin, I don't think I've ever had gin straight. I could. Remember, we had slow gin in the Guernsey and the Channel Islands. But that we had slow gin made out of slow gin, the little berries. And I remember feeling kind of like this. It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Going back to doing the whiskey and the bourbon, moonshine, that's just another type of whiskey.
Oh, it's a type of spirits.
It's a happy spirit.
It is, but it's not whiskey.
Oh.
Okay, so there's lots of different types of moonshine.
Okay.
Moonshine's kind of a catch-all.
I thought it was rye whiskey.
Yeah, no.
Because there was that song, Rye Whiskey, Rye Whiskey.
Don't let me down.
Okay. All right. So don't do it. Okay, so now we're here. You started with bourbon, and then you said vodka is going to be your next thing.
Yeah, we started with vodka, gin, and bourbon.
And
those are the three things we started with.
You taught us something, again, like you're giving us a good education. Here you're preparing us for bourbon country, and now we're going to go, Phil said. Over in Little Rock and Rocktown Distillery.
They'll go, for it to be Kentucky bourbon, it has to be made in Kentucky.
Well, Jack Daniels is in Tennessee, and Jim Beam is in Kentucky.
And Arkansas bourbon is right here in Little Rock.
I'm going to put you on the same show with them. Anyway, you went to vodka and then gin, and then vodka, which I thought was interesting. We automatically always think potatoes. And you said no.
No. Most of the world's vodka is made from grain. So most of that is wheat, but we make ours from corn.
Okay. So now here in Arkansas, you seem to be very sustainable. You said, okay, your barrels, once you're done with the oak barrel, right? You're only allowed to use it once. You send that off to a brewery, right?
Right.
So now when it comes to rum, when it comes to vodka, when it comes to your bourbon, you're using as much as you can from Arkansas, right?
Right. So our grain is sourced, from farms within 125 miles of the distillery. So we source our glass locally. There's a glass plant in Jonesboro, Arkansas, that we get our glass from. Our boxes are made over in Maumelle, in North Little Rock, which is 20 minutes away. So we try to keep everything as local as possible. Not only just to keep money flowing within the community, but reduce carbon footprint and shipping and all that kind of stuff. And it makes a lot of sense. And you want to know the farmer that grew the corn that you're putting in the still to make your whiskey.
Well, corn's controversial these days.
It is.
I won't go there, but yeah.
We don't need to go down that path.
No, but if it's local, there's this part of it where, like you're saying, knowing your farmer. What you're doing with Heifer International, they're an amazing group. I mean, they go into people get a cow on their farm or their household around the world in Africa where we lived. It's like they're there helping villages.
A cow can sustain a whole village if you know how to take care of it.
If you manage. So I want to ask if you were to use a barrel more than once, would it change the taste?
Right. So we do use it sometimes more than once, but not for bourbon.
Oh.
Okay, so other whiskeys we can use a used barrel for.
Okay.
So.
Oh wow.
So we, so it gets a little bit complicated.
Yeah. Okay.
But we make a whiskey that we call hickory smoked whiskey, where we smoke the grain with hickory before we make the whiskey out of it.
Oh, cool.
And we age that in our used bourbon barrels. So it's not a bourbon whiskey, it's not a rye whiskey, but it is a whiskey, but it's aged in used barrels.
Okay. Wow.
So you can't, it's all about, the government doesn't limit what you can do, it limits what you can call it. So we just can't call it bourbon.
Okay,
right?
See, there you go. Well, this is interesting. So you started in 2010, so you're coming up to your 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, we just had 9 in June. And so
you're on that way. You started with the 3 products. Now you're up to 30 different products going out. Did you expect that when you first opened your doors and said, I'm doing this, or even laid out your business plan?
Well, you lay out a plan, and just like anything, you deal with market changes and what works and what doesn't, and we've developed additional products along the way because we saw the demand for it and saw the opportunity, and kind of went. I'll have a distributor in one of the estates we're in, like Maryland, say we really want a lemon vodka. And so I developed one. And, they're like, this is delicious. Okay, let's sell lemon vodka.
See, now I thought that was what we call patio pounding in the summertime. You're outside of the pool and you're like, okay. I thought it was kind of girly vodkas, it's like, okay, we want the foo-foo, like, pinky drinks and everything. But then I realized when we were talking with you at the beginning, it's like, no, this is about having an infused vodka. You could just put like like club soda or something.
Yeah, right.
It's about
just
actually
lemon vodka and club soda, and
making it easier.
You've got a drink that's delicious and easy, and it tastes great,
and infused.
And it's all natural, and
that's good. It's better than
better than drinking a beer.
I like all of it.
Easy. I'm not. I'm an equal opportunity drinker as well.
I think we had basil infused vodka.
That's good.
once.
That's really good.
Yeah,
that's
and
good.
that
You do
was-
that.
that
Right?
Yeah, we do a basil. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think is going to happen in 10 years from now? Now
10
that you're
years
getting
from
to that
now,
10-year
we're going
mark.
to take over the world.
Right on. Well, you're in other countries. How many states? How many countries?
We're in 16 other states, and we're in the United Kingdom, Canada.
Oh, good.
We've sold in Taiwan and a little bit in Australia and Germany.
Right on. So are they able to buy online? Do you have a club or anything?
Yeah,
like
so
that?
that's the difference between wine and spirits. It's illegal to ship.
Oh,
that's right. Because every time we had samples, like from the tequila companies, they would do it like.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I can't even.
So
talk
we don't
anymore.
have an online presence where you can order a bottle and I could ship it to you. And
That sucks.
Yeah.
Can you change that now?
I'm working on.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I know. I can already tell. Like you're that guy.
Right.
it does seem
Yeah.
unfair.
Yeah, and
really-
it's an old holdover from the
Ancient,
ancient
whatever.
The
days.
wine
when-
companies went through hell, and it went from like region. I remember back in the day, Temecula wine companies versus San Diego could do it, or Temecula couldn't, or vice versa, whatever it was. It wasn't even just state; it was by actual AVA that it could be online at that time.
Yeah, and I went to California this last fall, and one of the wineries was like, I was like, this stuff's great. I want to order some shit back to Arkansas. And they're like, well, we don't even, we're not going to do that because Arkansas is difficult to deal with.
Wow.
And so, we could, but there's a bunch of paperwork we'd have to fill out and blah, 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 blah. So we're just not going to ship it. So you can order it from your distributor when you get back to Arkansas. And I'm just like, well, okay. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's like going through the paperwork jungle. And so you're the first that, after Prohibition, as a distillery. Did anybody crop up after you?
There's a couple guys, yeah.
Okay, so now you get to pave the way.
Right. But it's
then
not
you get
like,
to have the namesake. Like
Texas
it's me
or
first.
California where there's 50 or 75 distilleries. I mean, we've really kind of got like 3.
But you're a smaller state, too.
Yeah, we're smaller and we're half dry, and we're, one of the...
Half dry.
But you started it. So like you
one of
have
the poorer, smaller states in the union, so it's hard to try to start a premium spirits company in the middle of that.
It's interesting when you come. This is how we know that we're not in the West anymore. It's like we're one of the states of the Union, like it's totally, or the Commonwealth, and it's all changing for us as we head this way.
But if you weren't half dry, you'd have more money.
Well, potentially. So, it's.
Do you look at this interestingly, like, Colorado goes with the whole thing with marijuana and they're pushing this, and you're like, I just want to be able to ship my wiggy out to the countries. Like, we're not even there yet.
Because, we're small, and so to get a distributor in Texas to carry our product, for instance, is out of the question. But I get people that travel to Arkansas and they try my stuff, and they're like, hey, we're down in... Allen, Texas, and we'd love to get some of your stuff. Can you ship me a bottle? And I'm like, it's against the law.
So you have to go through a distributor. So basically, everybody needs to look at their distributors and do it. I'm telling you, it's really good. I'm happy. I'm a happy gin drinker now.
Equal opportunity in the United States.
Yeah, so it's really limits commerce more than anything.
It does.
Which...
This is interesting as an entrepreneur going in, and then it's like you want to start your business. There's always the funding things, there's the marketing, there's the how am I going to do the operational, but now there's the law stuff that you're dealing with, and that's never going to end, is it?
So, for spirits, I can't just go up and sell my stuff to Walmart and be in every Walmart. Yeah. Because every state has different laws. So I'd have to get registered with every single state as a producer and then also get a different distributor for every single state. So it's really like selling your products in 50 foreign countries. Where if I made a can of soup,
it's okay.
I could just, ship it.
Well, we noticed that as we travel in Walmart, sometimes you can buy wine in there.
Yeah,
and sometimes you can't. But you can always get beer.
You can get beer. And in Colorado, you can get beer in a store, but you can't get wine.
Right.
What's with that?
It's all the local laws. It's all the local, and who's paying, who's zooming who.
I'm
right?
like, I know.
Yeah.
They have the beer thing going on in Colorado. And so I'm like, you could go to a grocery store and get beer. And I'm like, but I want a bottle of wine. It's actually very hard through the last few states we've been in to get a chilled bottle of wine, even in a liquor store.
Right. Yeah, there's all these rules, know.
I want cold wine for our park picnics.
It's so, Dark Ages kind of stuff.
So you have to deal with this. So what do you, going through all this, the jungle, the government jungle of paperwork and red tape, what do you want to see in the next 10 years do you want to have everything open door, or do you want to go more into people come into the distillery? You do tours, we need to say that.
Yeah, we do tours
what do you
6
want to
days
see
a
the
week.
most
But
of?
It would be great that if we could have a level playing field and be able to as a small producer be able to ship my products to individuals.
So you're not going to give up, basically.
We're not going to give up on that.
Okay,
but I have changed 2 laws in the state of Arkansas since I've been here. So when I first started the distillery, we couldn't sell by the bottle from the distillery.
Oh.
So you could come take a tour, and then I'd have to send you down the street to the liquor store to get some.
Oh my gosh.
So in 2011, I changed the law to be able to do that. So
toast to you.
Yeah.
Toast the wicked to you.
So, and then 2017, I changed the law to allow us to sell cocktails. So up to 2017, we couldn't sell you a drink.
Actually, I don't know many distilleries that do. Trying to think back, maybe it depends on what state.
Depends,
but it's interesting, because you would think if you can do it in California and you're part of the United States, you should be able to do it in any other state.
But when Prohibition ended, the control of the distribution of alcohol was given to the states. So every state has written a different law regarding the distribution and sale of alcohol. So it's really is 50 different.
Wow. Seriously, this blows my mind.
Yeah.
I had no idea this is what I know. I thought, okay, we got an education on bourbon versus whiskey, blah, blah, blah. But but I had no idea. But kudos to you.
Yeah.
But
it's not the most sexy part of the business.
No, I think people should understand. No, I have a deeper respect for each sip. That's my point.
Right.
No, I mean,
that's the hurdles that we go through every day to sell our product.
That's what I think is so important about you having a public venue, that people come in here and get to taste it. Same thing as wineries.
Yeah.
When wineries open in a town, it's so hard, and people get to understand the amount of work, the amount of money, and now the law part. People don't see that. They just enjoy their drink if it's somewhere, but don't get to understand that hard work that goes behind it.
But just imagine, you go into a restaurant, they give you a little sample of a mini taco or something, and then you want to order, and you got to go down the street.
Right, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It is exactly the same thing.
Well, kudos to you. What is your website for people to connect with you?
It's rocktowndistillery.com.
Rocktowndistillery.com. Everyone, come here. It is awesome.
Yeah,
so cool.
And congratulations on what you've done.
Go like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. So we're there everywhere you can find us.
Do you put cocktail recipes up?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. What's your favorite cocktail that you serve here?
Favorite cocktail?
Or do you even drink cocktails?
Yes, there's so many, but I like our Sazerac a lot.
What's that? Sazerac.
Sazerac. What is that?
Sounds like sassafras.
Yeah, Sazerac is a rye whiskey cocktail that you take a glass and you use absinthe or herb saint, and you pour a little bit in the glass and wash it and then dump it out. And then in another glass you put ice and rye whiskey and bitters and just a dash of simple syrup, and you stir it to chill it, and then you strain that back into the glass that you washed with the herb saint.
Wow, you're like in subtle flavor in that
and then you get a little bit of the edge of the lemon peel, just the the rind, not the rind, but the colored part, and then you just squeeze that a little bit to where the oils spritz out over it, and
wow,
that is a Sazerac.
Wow. Okay, so now you're going to have the Sazerac.
Mm-hmm.
And you can invite anybody you want in the world for a happy hour here, alive or passed on. So you can just sit and have that conversation. It's our happy hour question. I have to ask
I thought about this the other day, and it's really hard for me. So because there's so many areas of things that I'm into, but
you can invite up to 3.
Up to 3. Okay, yes. So
because you make really good wiggy.
So. I think it would be really interesting to have Sting and Bono.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yes.
Cool.
The 2 of them together.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Wow. And then maybe have...
wow, that's interesting. And they've done music together.
Right. Mm-hmm. And cool. Sting has a winery.
The Fields of Gold.
And
you could harvest the fields of
gold. The barley and all that.
Cool.
And then, Bono's Irish, so he knows how to drink, right?
Yeah. They're good Samaritans to the world.
Right.
They're good Samaritans.
And...
They both are, yeah. It's cool.
Then I was trying to think, who else. I had some ideas. It was more like, some of the technologists, if Steve Jobs could come, or the A&D Grove that started Intel, somebody like that, and then maybe a Thomas Edison and
Thomas Edison would be cool.
or an Albert Einstein, or
you want the geek person,
Faraday.
Yeah, you need the creative and the geek in the same room.
Right. And want to bring those, because these technologists are very innovative in what they've come up with, and these musicians are very innovative in what they've done, and bring that together with,
What about Michelangelo? Because he had one of the first grapevines that they could find. Because when you talk about technology, it was one of the first things I talked to you about. I was like, what about technology? Where does that role happen with this? Would you want technology to take a further hand in what you do in Distillery?
Well, we use it as a tool to help us, analyze and keep track of what we're doing. But at the end of the day, it's about where art meets science.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about that. Yeah,
so we're developing flavors, we're developing tastes. We're using science to understand that
like the sugar content
through chemistry and biology and that sort of thing, to understand how the grain is converted to starch, which is converted to fermentable sugars, which are converted into alcohols, and how those interact in the barrel, and alcohols and acids combine to create esters.
Dang, listen to him, man.
Which create flavors.
Dang.
So you probably got like A in chemistry.
Okay, do you give your name to your still, the copper still?
I'm not one of those guys. So I haven't named my equipment. They do that in a lot of breweries.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know
I thought it was a little bit, I don't know, a little too cheeky for me. So you
don't even name your car then, do you?
Yeah. I don't name inanimate objects.
You're a chemist, but you got the creative side too.
Yeah, so I'm a musician as well.
Oh, you are? What do you play?
I play the bass guitar.
All right,
and I'm also a flutist.
Wow, she played flute. She's a keyboardist. I'm a singer and guitarist. Yeah,
so
we should have a band.
I played in rock bands all over.
Awesome.
in high school and college, and then after college. And
do you have live music here?
No, we don't.
You can totally you got a cool
we
event
could.
space. Weddings happen.
We've had live bands for weddings and things like that, for parties, but it's not like a live music venue.
No rocking the Casbah.
Yeah, right. Not today, but it's all about the spirits today. So
it's good spirits here.
Well, thanks.
Thank you so much for having us here and taking us on a tour and educating us, and for what you're doing to pave the road for future distilleries too, not just your own, but it's
awesome.
You're a pioneer. Right on. You're a wiggy pioneer.
Wiggy.
If I had a badge for that, I would
getting
give you
wiggy
one.
with it.
Yeah.